everybody. This is a Lamley Showcase Hot Wheels 2020 M Case highlights. We already did the unboxing. Mattel sent the case over this time. Did the unboxing. I picked out those cars that I was most interested in. We're going to open them up. Typically, I do these showcases from the models that Wheel Collector sent. They don't have the M Case yet. When they do, I will definitely let everyone know. Should be very, very soon. If Mattel had this case to send, then I would assume that Wheel Collectors and A&J Toys will have theirs, and I will definitely get the word out when those are available. Nonetheless, and I'm going to actually leave a link down below because I always do in these highlight videos to Wheel Collectors. So, nonetheless, we're going to take a look at these models. We have several new models to look at, some I'm very excited about, some recolors and some other basics, and then of course, I don't have the regular Super Treasure or the regular Treasure Hunt, but I do have the Super, and I am quite interested in this one. Mainly because it is the basic debut of one of the most underrated castings that Hot Wheels has ever done. That's in my opinion, and we'll get to that towards the end of the video. I love the Ford Galaxie. But let's get right to it. Let's start with some of the basics that I picked out. This is the Corvette C7 Z06. I believe this is a recolor this year. For me, I would have probably opened this up, or I probably would have showcased this anyway, but whether or not it goes into the collection, with the Corvettes, at least with me, it's all about, are they stock or not, or stock-ish? I have no idea if that black stripe or the black roof is stock, but considering this is plain white with the headlights and the taillights, with the black rims, which looks awesome, this one is in the collection for sure. Anytime there's no flames or any sort of side deco, I put the Corvette in the collection, and so that is a for sure. Next one, 73 Ford Falcon XB. I thought of two models. I like to, when I do the highlight videos, pick a model that I think has some sort of relation to something else. I thought about bringing out some of the Falcon XBs. Australian car made famous by, Mad Max, I think, and nice to see this one make a triumphant return to the basic range. It's been a Super Treasure Hunt twice. Thought about showing those off. You can look those up. It's also been in premium. Really, really cool casting. And this one looks nice in kind of a forest green color with the yellow flames, obviously from the Hot Wheel Flames series. So I was really happy to see the Falcon come back. Next one, the Sand Blaster. Why they call this one, it's almost like the Texas Drive-'em, right? The Texas Drive-'em is a Ford truck. Sand Blaster is also a Ford truck, but they go with this generic name. There might have been some legal reason. But if you look close, and I don't know if I can get that in there because this is black, but if you look at the front grille, you'll see the Raptor, the Ford grille that goes with the Raptor. This is obviously a Baja-style Raptor. Borla Deco looks really cool. Modified slightly, but I think it's been modified before. The roll bars in the back have been moved to metal as opposed to plastic, and actually that's a good thing because that plastic roll bar used to just pop out all the time, including on the Super Treasure Hunt that they did several years ago. So that one is nice to see. Next one. We're dealing with some recolors now. 52 Hudson Hornet in purple. This has been a popular casting for sure, and I know a lot of people are really digging this one, and this recolor is nice in purple. Rod Squad, Hot Wheels Rod Squad. I'm trying to see if there's any other details on this one, but I think this one is really nice in that kind of vintage racing look from the, a little different than the, the Boulevard that came out as a, I think, like a set exclusive or something like that. And then this one, you see these cases get open. Maybe I just missed this one, but this is the recolor of the Tesla Model 3. This remains my favorite Tesla casting of both Mattel brands, Matchbox and Hot Wheels. I like what Matchbox has done with, and then with their Teslas, and then they've got the Roadster coming out. I really like this very, very stock Tesla Model 3 from Hot Wheels. So we've had white, I think we've had maroon, last year, and then this year we've had this gray one, and now this blue one with the 10-spoke wheels. And I think that looks fantastic. All right, let's get to the new models. 3 licensed new models. I think one, we'll get to that, was supposed to, I think, debuted in the L case, but I didn't get it in the L cases I opened, so I'm going to put it here in the M case highlight video. That's the Firebird. We'll get to that. But let's start with this Astana Hodo. I'm probably saying that wrong. From the Spy Racers series. We had that earlier one. I can't remember the name of it. The purple one. I'm going to show it because it's new. This does absolutely nothing for me. I mean, it's obviously somewhat based, looks like on a Z or a, you know, but it has the big rims in the back, and we haven't seen the large lace wheel, like the low profile lace wheel, in a long time. So it actually looks a little Hot Wheels old school with the big wheel in the back. Next one, now this is cool. 84 Pontiac Firebird. Like I said, this one I think is in the L case, but for me is a debut in the M case, so it's nice to see. When this was announced, I think it was Brendan Vituski who worked on this casting, and because he's the Pontiac, he's the resident Pontiac nerd among the Hot Wheels team, just like Rio Sato's the Honda nerd. Brendan is the Pontiac nerd and the Gasser nerd, to be honest. But he did this Firebird. I asked him how close it was related to the Knight Rider Firebird, and he said somewhat, but I think this one was built completely from scratch. And it's nice to see a stock 80s era Firebird. Hot Wheels has been nailing the 80s and 90s stuff of late, and this Firebird definitely counts. So we'll go ahead and add that's a for sure in the collection. All right, 2017 Lamborghini Euros. Hope I said it right. Not to be confused with the concept car from several years ago. This is the better casting of the two, but it's probably it's the more realistic, right? Set to the actual production vehicle. But this one looks nice. You know, we've seen a lot of Lamborghinis, obviously, from Hot Wheels, and it makes sense for them to do this one. And this one is done pretty much stock, and I really, really dig it in yellow. And you guys can tell me what you think. And I definitely prefer it to the concept, but I might just get rid of that one and just move forward. Like I did with the Porsche 918 Spyder. They did the concept, didn't like that casting, but the production was great, that version of Hot Wheels. I'll probably just move on from the old one and just keep the new one. And finally, I think this is the highlight for me of the new models. It is the 89 Mazda RX-7, the FC Savannah. It all depends on how we say it. In red. When I first saw it, I thought it was just the Porsche, the 944. That silhouette is so similar. But this is great to see. They've really been nailing the RX-7. But this is fantastic. I love it with the lace rims. Love that it's got the detailing on the front and on the back. Nothing more. Put this together with the FD. I mean, it is just so cool, especially the red ones. It's nice to see this pair, and this was an obvious kind of no-brainer. It's got the side mirrors and everything else. I am way into that one, to be sure. All right, let's spread this out and you can see what is going on over here, because we have the return of the, well, not the return, but the debut of the 65 Ford Galaxie into the basic range, and it makes a nice dramatic debut as a Super Treasure Hunt. So there's the basic, there's the Super. We'll get to those in just a second, but I want to give you a history of the model that I think may be one of the top models when it comes to the underrated Hot Wheels list. The 65 Ford Galaxie. We haven't seen a ton of them, but it is a fantastic, like, I don't know if dense is the right word, but it's heavy. It's really, really well done. It's really crisp. I use that word a lot for models that I think are just really well detailed. And it's nice to see this in basic, but I want to make sure that these premium car, and I've featured it before. I've dedicated entire videos to this casting, but I want to make sure it's seen. So this model is actually designed by, check it out, Amai Motors. Jun Amai, his name is even on the top here. Jun Amai debuted this casting. He designed this casting. In fact, he will tell you this is one of his favorite castings of the ones he's designed. He's so closely associated with JDM that sometimes people forget that he did a whole bunch of other stuff, including European and American cars. But he counts this Galaxie as one of his all-time favorites, and it debuted in vintage racing. I think this was the first one, this orange one with, you know, a fictitious racing deco. It looks very much vintage, but it has the Amai Motors El Segundo, California. You can see all the references to Hot Wheels there. Started with that orange one. I love the deep steelies on it, the yellow steelies. Then it came back with this I can't even say it right, but I think this one might be a actual licensed one. You guys who are way into this racing will know. Black steelies here that looks really good with the two-tone red and gunmetal gray. I think that is just so cool. Also in vintage racing, there were 3 that actually were in vintage racing. But I just want you to take a look at like the grill on this, and I would even like, it'll even show you the base. It's just kind of got some, like I said, some depth to it, some weight. And just with those steelies, it really fit well in the vintage racing feel, the vintage racing look. Of the 3, this is probably my favorite. This tan colored number 26, Junior Johnson. I think this one was licensed. This one is an actual deco, but just so clean, so plain, but so classic and vintage. Headlights done, black steelies once again. I just love that color combination with the black and the tan. Just one of the coolest kind of old school vintage cars. We saw the stock car, I believe, series from the Hot Wheels racing series. Once they canceled vintage racing, or they ended vintage racing, they did this racing series where they did segments of stock cars and like off-road and that sort of thing. Like they did the Pikes Peak Celica, the Greenwood Corvette was in this series. The stock car series had this Galaxie, which really fits in with the other 3 vintage racing. Augusta Motors Sales, I think this one is also licensed. Dan Gurney, of course, so it is. I just saw that over the top, over the door window. So that one was beautiful. So it's these 4 vintage racing style cars are what really makes me such a big fan of this. And I would consider this car top 5, top 10 for me, this casting. Then we've seen 3 other versions before the basic. It's been an RLC. This is kind of a forgotten one because it sits on the Neo wheels, but in Spectre Flame green, kind of an aqua green, really pretty color with the 2-tone white roof. You can see even this one looks more kind of a stock style, but it has the roll cage in it, which is kind of funny. I think my dad drove this car. This is either a 64 or a 65. Then it was in Cool Classics, kind of a forgotten line, but there's those Cool Classic wheels, which you've now seen come to the basic range. Cool deco here. But yeah, that one looks really cool. There's the dog. And then the most recent, back on the Steelies, but this time chrome Steelies, was in the 50th anniversary line, this really cool Golf version. I saw a lot of these in the stores. I hope you picked it up when you could and didn't miss out on it, because it's one that I think people will be very happy to have. And this Galaxie will just get more and more appreciated as time goes on. And this premium version looks fantastic. So that was it. We had, what, 7 versions of the Galaxie. I don't think I'm missing any. If I am, you guys will let me know. But 7 versions of the Galaxie. And now, and I'd love to see more in car culture with this premium line, like some sort of like vintage racing. I think a vintage racing segment would be perfect, and that would be a prime candidate. But now we have it in the basic range, and it debuts beautifully. Obviously, that one would be cool in flames, but it's the Super Treasure Hunt, which I think is really cool. So let's just get right to it. We'll start with the basic. And this one looks fantastic in black, kind of a bright green interior. You can see it has a racing interior. It's obviously been modified. It's lost its roll cage. If I hold it up real close, you can see it's kind of got this back piece to it. So obviously when they created the plastic base, which looks similar, they've just changed the interior as well. Maybe the body's been modified too. It's hard to tell. But all in all, I think it's pretty much there. I guess if I held these up, it looks like they're the same size. Don't want to drop them. Oh, okay, so you can see actually they've changed the way they've done the taillights. They've done a break in the taillights on this one. So there's one of the modifications, and then in the front, it looks the same to me. Obviously it's a different grille and stuff, but or a different piece, but pretty much the same. So that's the basic, which looks kind of cool. But let's open up this Super Treasure Hunt. There's the artwork there. If you want to see the difference, it's going to be, I mean, there could be someone who misses this one sitting on the pegs, but if I see it, I'm sure going to get it. There's the Treasure Hunt logo. There's one that's probably below there, but let's just open it up. There's that. And here is this. Looking good on the real riders. The green, kind of Watanabe style, but we call it Trans Am style on an American car, right? Rims. Flames on the front, so this was the additional deco. It gets the flames on the hood. Other than that, I think there's no difference. So I mean, obviously Spectre Flame Black is what they'll call it. It comes off across as kind of a gunmetal color. But that one is awesome. Now I'm sure there's people, I'm not going to say this is my favorite Super Treasure Hunt of the year because there's others that I think are better, but I am excited to have this one in the basic range, and I am excited to see more versions of a casting I think is a classic, and one that if you haven't collected, definitely worth getting, because I think they're going to get harder and harder to find as people gain more appreciation for this casting. They'll be after those older ones, so maybe it's time to grab it now. You guys tell me what you think about the M-Case highlights. If there's any I missed that you thought I should have added, you guys can let me know. Tell me what you think of the new models. I think they're cool. And tell me what you think of the Super Treasure Hunt. I think it's cool. Thanks, everybody. Bye.